colleagues represented all other government agencies, also the river dismissed from the Uganda Application Commission, Honorable Nyomi Tembo. He also wished to be here personally, but was held up with some other issues, but he still sent me. My name is Dr. Absalam Waiso. I'm head of education, prostitution and advisory. I didn't come alone, and my colleague, Medical Kwa Sevagala, the head of speech and content, made like you help the audience.
Thank you for coming.
And my colleague Ibrahim Bossa, the head of African Relations at UCC. We came as a big delegation because we take this platform seriously and want to thank the Uganda Rights Commission for convening all of us together. At this critical juncture in our history as a country, UCC appreciates every person for the role we are playing in delivering this election. At the Uganda Communications Commission, as you know, by law, we are set up under the Uganda Communications Act, and in that law, our mandate primarily is to regulate the communication sector, and that includes media, both mainstream media and the new media. So our main responsibility in the electoral process is to ensure that our communication platforms are used responsibly, to ensure that all Ugandans are receiving the right message. The candidates are sharing their messages through those platforms responsibly, but also Ugandans are participating and using the different media platforms responsibly. So at UCC, we are trying to ensure that both the mainstream media, the radios, the TVs, we continuously remind them about their duty to abide by the law, the Uganda Communications Act, the Minimum Broadcasting Standards, the Uganda Communications Content Regulations, because all those provisions in the law summarize the message that whatever you do as a communication platform, you must do it responsibly, you must be factual, you must be conscious of the ideas of other people, but also you must appreciate that media are non-partisan. In Uganda, the media is not supposed to take sides. Even when as a TV station or as a presenter, you have a candidate. When you're on that TV program or radio program, you must appear neutral, because in our regulatory environment, the law says the media must be non-partisan. And this obligation doesn't just stop at the mainstream media. Even for our colleagues who are broadcasting online, we know very well that because of technology, we have many people now operating on YouTube, on TikTok, on other digital platforms. Even those under the law, they are supposed to act responsibly and ensure that whatever message you are recording, even when you are just on Facebook Live, even when you're on X, at that point you are dealing with the broadcaster. And the law requires you to be objective, to be non-partisan, to be factual, and to verify whatever fact that it is that you're sharing. So that's our duty, and we'll be sharing more to assure the public that the communication sector is ready. Even our telecommunication service providers that are providing internet, because many of you are connecting to internet, you cannot understand that behind the scene, there are many telecom operators that are making it possible for you to be on Facebook, for you to be on YouTube, for your TV signals to be received in your house. So all those players, we have aligned all of them to ensure that they set up their systems in a way that facilitates free and fair participation by all Ugandans during this election.
Mr. Waiso, I like how you keep referring to Facebook Live, but I'd like to bring to your attention, and we shall get to it a bit later on, that as we speak, it's been how many years? 5 years down the road. Facebook is still banned. I'll get back to you.
I'll clarify.
Yes. Moving on to Ms. Diana Chasimide, Commissioner of Police, and representing the Deputy Director, representing the IGP. So we'd like to hear from you what your role is in ensuring that we do have a peaceful 2026 election. Because the police fingers have always been pointed to the police, saying that they are the perpetrators of violence. And so what is your responsibility and your role in ensuring that whatever we've been seeing in the media, especially in the recent days, does not happen when it comes to 2026?
Thank you. Good morning once again. I am Commissioner of Police. I am Acting Deputy Director of Human Rights and Services, and I am representing the Inspector General of Police. I bring you greetings. He was not able to be here due to other commitments. So the role of police when it comes to electoral process does not change. We do not deviate from our mandate because the Constitution gives us a mandate, the Police Act gives us a mandate. So we are here to protect life and property, we detect crime, and when it comes to these campaigns and the electoral process, we ensure that candidates are secure, venues are secure, voters are secure, crimes are investigated. So we encourage candidates and the voters that they should maintain law and order. They should operate within the confines of the law, because the law is not in abeyance. We have rights, but also we must understand that when we are exercising our rights, there are also other people whose rights should be protected. So we have rights bearers, and then we have duty bearers. So the law must we must maintain the law. We have intelligence. Sometimes we call it intelligence. And when we say do not pass here, for example, it's not that we are stopping you. You shouldn't exercise your right of movement. No. Probably you have detected that it is insecure. It's not good for you to be here. So Electoral Commission gave guidelines on how campaign should be carried out. So for us, like he said, the representative of the EC chair said, elections are organized by Electoral Commission. So we come in support. So if you don't abide by the law, if you don't operate within the confines of the law, definitely as police we come in. But we are not there to stop people from exercising their rights, because that's why we are there. We are there to ensure that each citizen enjoy their rights, but within the law.
But somebody would argue that, like the example you've given of passing a particular place and the other, you don't have pass this particular place, it only applies to a certain section of candidates. And in most cases, they are the opposition candidates. So would we say that the other candidates are using the exact route? Why is it that these people are the ones that are always faulted by the police somehow?
Probably because for as long as we have not used the route, then we can. Okay. But not that we are against any political party.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the Inter-Religious Council. Like we said, everyone in this room has a role to play when it comes to ensuring that we do have a peaceful 2026 general election. And from the religious standpoint, I would like to know, Mufti, what is the role of religion or the faith when it comes to the 2026 general elections?
As I remarked earlier on, I came to represent the government committee. Though I'm an executive board member of the Inter-Religious Council, I was not mandated to speak on their behalf. But I would like to draw your attention to the press release that the Inter-Religious Council made on the 24th of November 2025. Actually, it is still afresh because they have raised many important issues that are ongoing in the elections. But as a religious leader, we regard ourselves as stakeholders who are entrusted with moral responsibility to watch over our nation and to guide it during the moments of uncertainty like these ones. Indeed, we acknowledge a few things that we have worked with the community and we have listened to their fears and we prayed for their hopes. Equally, we are playing a role of connecting the communities with the people in authority, the electoral commission, the police, the security, and so on and so forth. And we thank that we accepted before all the communities, and we are ready to spearhead a peaceful process if supported by all organs in the country. As you remember, from the previous elections, we have done a lot that included the presidential candidates debate, which actually was the first of its kind in Africa, where you saw all the candidates shaking hands and even hugging. So we may not have one this time because we have not been enabled and supported to do so, but we are equally issuing pastoral letters to enable our religious leaders to play their role in guiding the masses to behave faithfully and to avoid provocations and to stick to the rule of law.
Okay, thank you so much, Mokti. And I'd like to return back to the Electoral Commission. What mechanisms are in place to ensure that all candidates and political parties have access and fair treatment throughout the election cycle? And I'd like to just reference to the recent incidences. I'm very sure, Mr. Kibuzi, you've been following some of these incidences, even some of the candidates calling out to the Electoral Commission, asking them to intervene because of situations that they see or deem as unfair to them. And just like the Commissioner of Police did highlight, Ms. Diana, she said sometimes the candidate is passing here and the other side, and yet the electoral roadmap also says otherwise. So how do we harmonize this, but also ensure that all the candidates are having equal access and treatment during this election cycle? Because what we are seeing now could easily play out when it comes to 2026.
Thank you. When the Electoral Commission released the roadmap that we are all following for the 2026 general elections in 2023 and revised it in 2024 and began the process of all the activities that we have taken, from demarcation of electoral areas to organization of polling stations, to the update of the National Voters Register, to the nominations, one would almost imagine that there is nothing happening because there was no incident. Generally, people were peacefully following the guidelines of the commission on what needed to be done. And then the campaigns started on the 29th of September, peacefully, also peacefully, to the extent that the first 5, 6, 7 weeks, people began to wonder whether we're in the same country or whether something fundamental had happened, with some saying that the process was forwarding, that there was no vibe, and that they couldn't believe it. And everybody was applauding this, that this is what we want to see, because that is how electoral processes should be. Electoral processes are civil processes provided for in all our laws as processes through which people will choose their leaders. And the framers of the 1995 Constitution were aware of the history. When you look at the preamble, that we have had a history that's characterized by all those kinds of things, and that now we resolve that we have to be a constitutional country that follows that voice in choosing our leaders. Let us say this, that the incidents that we've seen in a few of that have captured the headlines are very unfortunate, they are regrettable, and they were and are avoidable. But to avoid them requires every actor, as has been said, to follow the law. Our constitution and our laws say no one is above the law, including law enforcement.
But the candidates claim that they are operating within the law.
That is the subject that has to be verified. Because we believe, as the Electoral Commission, that if everybody stayed in their lane and acted in accordance with the law, we would not, the laws and the guidelines. The Commission, as was mentioned by the Chairperson of the Constitution, issued the guidelines for campaigns, for instance, on time, when you should campaign, when you should stop campaign, banned processions, prohibited conduct of campaigns in the middle of roads and public spaces that have people in them, like markets, schools, hospitals. But we have begun to see some candidates across the board not following those guidelines. And that is the real issue. That is the real issue. Failure to follow the laws, failure to follow the guidelines, and refusal to follow the guidelines. And it is incumbent upon all the actors in the electoral process. The candidates have a duty. The candidates who want to be leaders at all levels have a duty to be leaders by telling their supporters to follow the law. It starts with the leaders, and we call upon the candidates, presidential candidates, member of parliament candidates, at all levels, to be the champions of making sure that the guidelines that they have, the electoral laws that we know, are followed into the next. If that was being followed, we would not be seeing the confrontations that we see in a number of places. But let us also say this. While we've seen these incidents, regrettable as they are, we should not lose sight of the many candidates, because the Electoral Commission nominated 83,000 candidates, from councillors to the president, contesting for 45,000 elective positions. Let us not forget that there are many candidates and supporters who are acting peacefully, who are conducting themselves according to the regulations and guidelines and electoral laws, to the extent that these incidents should not be what describes or paints the image of what is happening across the country. And we believe strongly that we can even address the root causes of the incidents that we've seen and we are seeing. It is important that we address, not only address the wound, but we address the fundamental root causes of why are we seeing clashes? Why are we seeing supporters of different candidates and political parties clashing amongst themselves, even without police being involved? Well, yesterday, the chairperson of the commission convened a meeting of the agents of all candidates who are for this president, together with police. And what was coming out in that room, agents were saying, your supporters are beating us. Support that confrontation and violence. All of those are uncalled for. So while the police comes up in a number of cases, while it is enforcing these electoral laws, we need as leaders, we need as stakeholders to call on the public, to call on the voters, to call on all stakeholders to follow the law. Because the wound is septic not just on the symptoms, but on addressing the real causes. If we don't address the causes, which is failure and refusal to abide by the electoral laws and the guidelines, we will talk and go, and the repetition of the cases that we have started seeing will continue. But we believe that as Ugandans, we want peaceful elections, and we are capable of returning to that environment that some were calling for. We would rather have that process environment that has no vibe, if you call it vibe, and deliver to the people of Uganda the leaders that they will have chosen.
So, Mr. Mchungu, in a way, you're saying that the electorate called for this situation for themselves.
We are saying that what we are seeing is a result of all the actors, or some of the actors, not following the laws.
Okay.
The commission and other stakeholders, at least from the commission point of view, no one can say that they don't know what they need to do. The leaders, at least all of them, know.
Okay.
But the choice is there to give Ugandans a peaceful process, a peaceful campaign process, if they choose to follow the guidelines they have and they know.
Thank you. I'd like to bring in the police. In your opening remarks, Ms. Diana, you did mention that the police is here to safeguard and protect the voter. In as much as they break the law, the manner in which allegedly break the law, the manner in which the police is handling them, is that the best you could do? We've had incidences, for example, the recent incidences in Iganga, where one life was lost to live bullets. And the police, or usually when they're asked for statements, they come and say the electoral for the supporters through stones. But a stone cannot be compared to a live bullet. And so how can you ensure that you are carrying out your role in this electoral process without harming the supporter?
Yeah, thank you. We don't go out to harm, we go out to enforce the law. So we regret such cases where lives are lost, and I don't think it's intended. So that very case.
When you say it is not intended, when you open a gunfire, what is going to happen? When you open a gunfire, definitely you're going to expect loss of life.
Can I finish my statement?
Yes.
Yes, like I was saying, we don't go out to do harm. But when such cases happen, they are regretted. That very case you have mentioned, we regret it and we are investigating it. Because we condemn it, it didn't happen. So whoever did it, definitely is going to investigate.
Okay. How then are you going to ensure that such incidences don't happen again? Because the campaigns, we still have 6 weeks, the campaigns are still ongoing, and still we are seeing clashes between the police and the supporters. And if we do not do something about it, that was one life lost. Many more could be, lost.
No, we shall not see such incidents because we tell our officers operate within the law, and if such incidents